bonjour, and comment allez-vous? Je vais très bien, merci. Hey, how is everybody? Hey, we're glad to see all of you. We hope that you had a great week so far. And if this is your first time, you know what we try to do. We try to make your week better by giving you this information. All right? We had a lot of fun last week. We talked about how to select your circle. Better yet, how not to choose the wrong people. All right? If you missed it, it's on my Facebook, and we're going to be posting it up here as soon as we figure it out. But I would highly recommend that you go check it out because we shared a lot of good information that hopefully that you could use. But anyway, we talked about how to select your circle. Now, here's the other thing about it. When you select people, remember that everyone is not meant to be in your life forever. It's seasonal. Some people, I don't believe there's nothing that's coincidental. I believe everything that happens to us is by divine intervention. And I think that if you're spiritual, then you're always protected if your heart is in the right place. So just always remember that. Just because people leave your life, the world is not over. And that may be that person's season. But whatever it is that you gain from that, that's part of their purpose. Right? So they may not be it may not be in the cards for them to stay with you forever. All right, so remember that. But without further ado, let me bring my co-host on because we're gonna kind of expound upon that circle. But today we're gonna talk about personal growth. How do we grow personally? Why do we see certain people that are stuck? Or they seem to be stuck. Okay? So let me bring my co-host on. Oh, before I do that, in our usual fashion, this is what we do for everybody who's new. Everybody that's been here for a minute, you know what we do. We toast it up. So here's for everybody on the live. And we love all of you, and we hope that you had a great week. And we mean that sincerely because life is about your perspective and about your attitude. There's always something good out of every bad. So here's to everybody on the live. All right. Hey, Miss O'Neill.
Hey, I was kind of upset.
What were you upset about? All right, you done muted out again. Don't start that this week. I can't hear a word you're saying. You muted out or something. But anyway, once you figured it out, Keith, what's happening?
Hey man, on the move, man. These guys have me on the phone still, man. So, but we in a good place right now. So I
Is
think,
that right?
yeah, we in a good
Okay.
place. Yeah, you know. So I gotta,
Okay.
you know.
Well, hopefully, we get this one across the finish line. It'll be a very, very good Christmas for everybody. And but like I said, we just gotta let it play out, man. It ain't every day that people get an opportunity to do these kind of deals. So we blessed regardless of what happens.
Yeah, we not
Can
gonna
you
mess
hear
it
me
up.
now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
You sound like that old
Cause
Sprint
I was
commercial.
about to.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Well,
Remember that
because
old Sprint
first
commercial?
of all, your little thing was flashing and stuff, and your little thing you can hear you because I could see your little thing flashing, but mine wasn't. But I was telling you why I was upset because I ordered me McDonald's strawberry cream pie. And they gave me, I ordered a 2-pack. So that means I should have got 4. Y'all do the math. Now I was going to share it with Tyree. But guess what kind of pie they sent me?
They sent you apple pie.
And I didn't, Not the yes, and I did not like that. And then they only sent me two. They didn't even get that right. So anyway, just go on. That I'm through with them
You need to
people.
stream off the McDonald's anyway. That's can't eat too much of that stuff.
Ugh. Not the
Just,
strawberry pie though. Not the pie.
oh yeah.
Okay, fine.
All right. All right. But anyway, so we're gonna get on into our subject and our discussion tonight, and we want to know how can we grow personally. But first of all, if you've ever had the opportunity or a career that took you, well, that allowed you to travel and stay away for extended periods of time, when you get back, have you ever noticed? Now, this I'm just asking a question to all of our guests. Have you ever noticed that if you stay gone, let's say a year or something like that, when you get back, have you noticed that the people that you left, the majority of those people are standing in the same place and doing the same thing? Or is it just me?
You ain't even got to go away for a year to see that. You could just stand there and watch it because you growing. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah, that's true. That's
yeah,
true.
no, but I'm with what you're saying. When you're not around somebody and you're growing, right? It's like going away to college, going away to, you know what I mean, wherever. You come back, some of your friends, your people, whatever, yeah, they're stuck in the same place. And their mentality didn't change, most of them. So that goes into what we said last week about choosing your circle. You got to start getting selective now because you're going in different directions. And as the saying goes, everybody can't go. What's for you isn't for everybody else. So you gotta be who you're supposed to be. Yeah.
Absolutely. I just thought about that because I know when I started touring as a musician, when I got back, you don't pay much attention to it when you're young, but once you mature, and I'm not saying young in age, I mean young in your mind.
Yeah.
You don't pay a lot of attention, but once you mentally start progressing and understanding life, you start looking around and you look like and feel like you're a fish out of water, like you're in
Yes.
the wrong place.
You're like an alien.
Yeah.
Yep. Hmm.
And I definitely felt it once I joined the military. When I came back from overseas and the desert and all of that, man, I'm telling you, it was like I was stuck in a time warp,
Yep.
and I had to get away.
Yep.
What
Yep.
about you, Miss O'Neill? Have you ever noticed that?
No, cause I just take them out my phone and everything else. I don't got time for that. I
No,
just
no, I'm
when I
just saying, have you
I'm telling
noticed?
you, when I come back and I done, went on my little sabbatical and whatever and got away from whatever, everybody that was in my circle, I just X them out. I just start all over.
Oh, so you don't even analyze. You just say cut,
So,
cut, cut. You done, huh? You
no,
just you
'cause
you
it
hardcore.
was a reason. Listen,
All
it
right.
was a reason I had to leave.
But all right. Wow. Okay. I think
But
we
they not
saying,
the
I
very
mean, you
reason
just
that you left, though.
yeah. She like she's all right. Fine. Hey, she
All right,
just
bro.
cut and dry. All right. Cool. You know.
Hey, if
Uh,
that's the way you do it, then cool.
yeah. Cool. You cut people off. Hey, cut them off. Do your
Yeah.
thing.
There's some people that you kind of fond of, and you want to make sure, even if they don't go with you, you want to make
Listen,
sure you see some type of change or maturity in those individuals
listen.
because you want the best for
If I got any inkling of why this person in my life, if I got feel that little tug, I'm just X you off. I'm gonna take your name out my phone, all that. I forget you like totally. When I see you again, hey man, hey sir, hi, hey. If
them.
you
That's
see, hey
that's
man,
not what I'm talking about. I'm
that's
just
it.
talking about observing people once you get back. The people in the same place. It's
I
not
don't want to go
selective
back
whether or
there.
not
If
you
I
stay
if I
there.
look over there and you in the same place, I'm not even going back. If I know that I am in that phase of changing and I have come out of that cocoon, I'm not even gonna go the same places that I've been, and I've done that before. I've left, a couple of weeks, and I thought, man, that's really peaceful without such and such. Well, if I don't think about you when I'm gone, when I come back, I ain't gonna think about you either. Mm-mm. I'm trying to tell you. I'm just telling you, I'm not.
Man, you drive a hard bargain. But okay, I guess you got a small circle of
I
friends.
was just thinking the same thing. You must not have a lot of friends. Small, tight circle. Yeah.
And y'all 2 of the 10 I got.
Oh, you got 10? You only got 10?
You got 8 outside of us.
You
Okay.
got 8. Oh, okay. All right.
Hey, but
Nah.
check this out. You have to wonder why those people are in the same place. Yeah, even if you don't associate with them anymore, it has to cross your mind to kind of wonder why, if I'm developing and if I'm changing, why isn't that individual? So that's what's going to bring us to our discussion for tonight, personal growth. All right. What does it take for personal growth and what does it mean? A lot of people, listen, in the day of the internet and global outreach and all of it, people use words and phrases very loosely. You know, as you can look at any moment of the day and you can see someone on social media talking about how much they're growing and, you know, how much they're changing and all of that. And I'm not doubting that, but what I'm saying, most people don't even realize what that means. It sounds it's popular, sounds very intriguing, sounds like you're headed for success when you say it, but most people don't have an inkling as to what it means. So, what is personal growth? And how do we understand it, mature, and become the best versions of ourselves? How do we do that? Well, first of all, personal growth means working on yourself so that you can become a better, stronger, and get this, wiser version of yourself. So that you can become a better person, a stronger person, a wiser person. That's what personal growth is. It's not accumulating a whole lot of money, buying a big house, none of that. It may look like you're maturing because you got a little bit more money, but mentally, if you don't do those things that I just mentioned, then it's not personal growth. You can call it whatever you want, but it's not going to be personal growth. So there are 3 key components, and it's an ongoing process of improving our mindset, which means how we think, our habits, what we do on a daily basis, emotional control, how we respond to life, and self-awareness. Self-awareness simply is knowing who you are and knowing what you want. That's self-awareness. Now that may seem simple. Those are not very elaborate words or very detailed descriptions and definitions. So it may seem simple, but it's a lot harder than most people think. Most people think they know who they are. But I guarantee you, a lot of people, when you put them to the test, they don't know. Once you test them, you really can see what they're made out of. A person may be strong all day long when they don't ever have to fight. Or when they meet somebody that's just as strong as them. So as long as you got your foe is what you consider weaker, then of course, you may be strong in your mind until you're tested against someone who's stronger or as strong as you are. And you'll see many people, they fold under that pressure. All of you know that I've been in the military, so I've seen when them Scud missiles start falling, all the guys and barracks jocks and everybody who was tough back in the rear, and I'm not saying you're not supposed to be afraid when you're in a situation like that, but I'm just saying the whole attitude and the whole personality has changed, So we have to consider that. But when we grow, we will soon realize some of our friends, that's why I opened up the discussion about that. Some of our friends who we thought were friends, they were never your friends. And let me qualify that, because when people are comfortable around you, right, they know how to behave. And the reason they know how to behave is because they don't want to lose the benefit of being in your presence or getting whatever you have to offer. So they know how to behave. When you are a certain type of person, remember, we are all creatures of habit. So it's very comfortable for us and comforting when a person remains the same way all the time. We get into predictable behavior. If you remain the same all the time, I can predict your behavior, and that makes people comfortable. When you're growing, your behavior changes, and that's what makes people less comfortable. All right?
I don't understand people like that because I have a problem, and I don't even like sitting in the same spot too long. I mean, I don't even like just normal things that every day. I'm serious. That normal things that everyday people do, and like when we talk about knowing our limits and our limits, I don't even think I've reached my limit or my threshold because I just go. My mind, I'm thinking all the time. I'm always doing something all the time. So I don't understand how people can just be still like that. Like, I mean, be still is not in my category, not in my growth, in the spiritual growth, in my mental growth, any of that. So I mean, I just really don't understand why people do that. I just told somebody the other day, I was like, I just believe my mama low key forgot to have me diagnosed for ADHD or something, behavior or something. Cause no, I'm really serious. Cause my mind, I just be going. I think Ayula and Cindy, like, I think they missed the boat or something. Cause I'm
Well,
just that way.
well, they may have, DeJoy.
You're talking about is a dream, and when you have a dream, and then you learn how to plan, right? As we talk about people on the live, right? The three of us work off the 5 Ps, right? Proper planning prevents poor performance. So,
Amen.
so once you learn how to like set goals for what it is, first you got to identify a dream and then what it is you want. Once you then identify that, you got to figure out how to get it. The discipline and the self growth comes in is if you pick something that's lofty, which is good, you should always get something that's going to take you out of your comfort zone. That's where the growth is, because now you're out of your comfort zone because you don't know. You have no bearings. You've never been in them areas before in the situations. And that's what Mr. G was talking about seeing what people are made of, seeing what you're made of. And can you become comfortable in being uncomfortable and make being uncomfortable a lifestyle? Some
Right.
people don't understand that.
I mean, quite frankly, I'd rather not be so comfortable and be uncomfortable enough that I'm pushed to that I'm pushed, I'm pushed through the tunnel. I was telling somebody that the day they were talking about how busy things were and this and that and the other. And I was like, well, don't look at it as the glass being half empty. Look at it as being half full. You know what I mean? We through half of the year. Yes, we're, going through a lot of different stressful things, a lot of changes, and how things are, what's going on politically is affecting a lot. But I don't even pay attention to that stuff. I just be like, guess what? I've made it through all the way to November, almost to December. We almost through a half a year. I mean, that's just how I have to do. I have to just look at that. I can't just stay in that one thought process and that one thing. It just doesn't work for me.
Well, it's a foolish mind for someone to worry about things that they cannot control. If you can't control it, why are you worrying about it? What you should do is react to whatever circumstances you're placed in. That's all we can do. To worry, as I said last week, that's a devil's tool. you worry, that's a weakness. That shows the devil that, hey, I can crack that door, I can get on in there, and I can manipulate. Because he's got power too. He can make you feel just as good or comfort you in your worst hours. And you may think that that comes from the heavenly body, but it doesn't always work out that way. But anyway, the reason I say that is it seems easy, but it's a lot harder, is because we're creatures of habits and we're so used to and accustomed to doing the same things over and over again. When people get used to a routine and familiarity, when they become familiar with something, it's very comforting. They can pretty much manage the expectation. With growth, you don't know what to expect because it's a process of evolution and it's ongoing. So you can't predict behavior in all cases. Also, the part about friends. When we begin to grow, we're going to lose friends. And we're going to find out some of the friends who we thought were our closest friends weren't friends at all. And the reason for that is because we spend a lot of our time, a lot of our life trying to live up to the expectations of others. So when we get into those social groups and they have their pecking order and they put you in a certain position, you try to live up to that expectation, whether or not you like it or not. So we spend a lot of our lives trying to live up to others' expectations. The other part of that is when friends that we have, they have been comfortable. They have become comfortable with whatever you're doing, whatever you're offering, however you're acting. They have become comfortable with that. And like I just said, when people become comfortable, it makes them feel good. Whatever you're offering them, whatever your disposition is, that is familiar territory to them. So they don't worry about surprises. The other reason that stifles personal growth is because we often compare ourselves to others. We often compare ourselves to others rather than comparing our successes to our failures. If we start comparing our successes versus comparing ourselves to other people, personal growth is inevitable. It has to happen because you're going to always look, again, we're people who understand reward and punishment. So when we succeed,
Do you ever consider yourself when you talk about that? You say comparing your successes to your failure. And honestly, do you ever really consider if you really failed? Because when you talk about failure, I
you
think
need to
it's
find
like a
another
learn.
room.
Um,
I can't, you're choppy. I can't hear you. Maybe you need to speak loudly or something because you were coming through, then you just started chopping up. But you asked, do I ever compare what now?
okay. What I said was, when you talk about successes and failures and things like that, and I used to when I was younger think, what, I really messed that up. I just really messed that up. I didn't do good at that or whatever. But then as I got older, I started looking at if I didn't learn anything from it, then it was a failure. Everything that happens for me or to me, I learn from it. So I don't know if I consider failure even an option like with that. I mean, or is that, I'm not being a cocky or anything. I'm just saying that there's things that happen or things that I've gone through and I learn something from it. Now, if I go and do it again and then it happens again, and I'm like, okay, dummy, you didn't learn the first time, and then it was actually a failure then. But if I learn something from it and it gets me to another place or teaches me a lesson, I technically don't look at things as a failure.
Okay, well, let me give you my perspective, and everyone has their own opinions, and they live their lives differently. Me personally, I consider myself a realist. I look at things for what they are, not how I want them to be. None of that. I look at things the way they are. If I attempt to do something and I do not complete that attempt, I have failed. That doesn't mean I'm gonna go cry or jump off a mountain or anything like that. I will relate it to you learning a lesson. Anything that I do, whether or not it's a failure or a success, I'm always gonna learn something. That's just life. As long as we're living, we're gonna learn. Whether or not we stand still, we move left or right, we're gonna learn something because the world does not stop turning. So I say that to say, yes, I consider I failed many, many times. I failed many, many times, but I've succeeded more times than I failed because at each junction where I fail, I understand that failure is only temporary discomfort for me. If I'm trying to get over the mountain and I go up and I slide down every time I go, I fail to reach the top of that mountain. But in the process, I understand that I can't continue with this type of activity. So I find another way. Either I'm going to go around it, or I'm going to take breaks, or I'm going to dig holes in the mountain so I can rest while I'm up so I don't fall down. But there's always something that's going to propel me toward that success. So as a realist and being real about things, I do not try to fool myself like, I don't fail. I mean, I've said that in the past until I became enlightened, and I understand what the grand architect has placed inside of me. So yes, there are examples of people who failed throughout history. So failure is a real thing. It's an emotion, just like fear, just like happiness, just like success. It propels us into, and it shapes us into who we become. There are a lot of people who concentrate on their failures, and it hits them hard. If you're one of those people who every time you do something, you're failing, then you need a revamp of who you are. You know what I mean? If you're failing continuously and never succeeding, then you need to revamp what it is you're trying to accomplish. Maybe that's not in the cards for you. But, that's just my way that I look at it and the way I live my life. So, but one thing I do not do.
One thing real quick, what you said is that's exactly right. And that some people, they follow the motto we were taught, or they always, you heard young, practice makes perfect, right? But that's actually incorrect. Perfect practice makes perfect. You have to make sure that what it is you're trying to do, you're doing the right things. And some people bang their head against the wall and they don't know that it's not what you're trying to accomplish. You're just not doing it right, or whatever it is that you're doing. But that's also where mentorship comes in. Some people don't have a mentor, or they don't listen.
That's true. You got that part right. Yay. You can have the best mentor in the world. If you've got someone who's stubborn and someone who really thinks that they know everything and do not want to listen, then you're just wasting your time. And that individual who's trying to assist you, they're wasting their time as well. So that's just a lost cause, But you're absolutely right when you say that. We always compare ourselves to people who are doing better than us. We never compare ourselves to people who are doing worse than us. Let me say that again. We always compare ourselves to people who are doing better than us, not people who are doing worse. So a lot of that has to do with our ego. It has to do with our self-esteem. It has to do with our self-worth. You might be looking at a millionaire and comparing yourself to that individual. Now, there's nothing to have hopeful and conscious activity and thinking that will guide you in that direction. But to make a comparison to someone who has more than you or looks different and, in your opinion, better than you, or all of those superficial things, then you're not becoming a full person. You're not growing to your full capacity because you're not supposed, you compare yourself. This is one thing. I compare myself to me. I compare myself to the version of me yesterday and the version of me today. And if that version of me today is better than yesterday, then I've had a successful day. And if it premates through my lifetime, then I've had a successful life. Comparing myself to other people serves no purpose. Now, there's nothing wrong with friendly competition where you can look at someone and say, hey, I can do that too, or I can get that. But again, those things have to be realistic too. A healthy comparison can be beneficial only if it allows us to learn something new so we can accomplish more in our lives. Because think about it, when we learn something new, the excitement is always high. That's whenever we learn anything new, we're excited about it. The adrenaline is flowing. So yeah, we're going to be excited, but how long does that excitement last? Being excited about something has nothing to do with your personal growth. Your personal growth is once, just like putting on a coat of armor, you add that to your arsenal. And once you grow, whatever it is you learn, that becomes part of your armor. Okay? So if we compete or compare, it's fine, as long as it allows us to learn something new. We can grow on a personal level if we understand these two things. You have to understand two things when it comes to personal growth. You have to understand discipline versus motivation. You have to understand discipline versus motivation. Now, what do I mean by that? And I wanted to point this out because most people confuse the two. Most people think that that they're interchangeable, and they're not. The first
I don't know.
Go ahead.
It took me quite a long time. It took me a long time to know the difference. I mean, because with a lot of things you start and you just all dedicated to it, and then you stop doing it because because it's not working and you don't want to try anymore, or what I'm saying, it's not as successful as somebody else. I mean, so for me, it took me a long time to learn that influence into what I.
Are you moving around? Are you moving around? All right, you might have to go out and come back in because you started just like last week.
Okay, let me go back out. Let me go out.
Yeah, you were clear for a moment. Yeah. Okay, but anyway, we have to understand the difference between the two, motivation and discipline. First of all, motivation is a feeling. Motivation is an emotion. It is a feeling. A feeling of wanting to do something. That's what motivation is, a feeling of wanting to do something. And the only thing about motivation is it comes and it goes. It always depends on your mood and your energy. And that's what motivation is. If you don't have the right energy and you're in the right mood, you're not in the right mood, you're not going to be motivated to do anything. I can guarantee you. All right. So there's a distinct difference between motivation and discipline. Motivation is wanting to do something. All right. And it's always the strongest. Check this out. It's always the strongest at the beginning when you want to do something. You know, that motivation, you know how people get all amped up and before the game starts, and you know, we have these pep rallies and all these different things as athletes, and everybody is rah, 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 and all pumped up. Yeah, they're motivated. Now, so we have to understand that motivation comes and goes, and it is a feeling. I'm going to give you a small example. Let me see, can I get DeJoya back in here?
The other thing with motivation is it depends on where that motivation comes from. So if that motivation comes from a pep talk that somebody gave you, that's like blowing up a balloon, right? If that motivation didn't come from internal, based on your dream and your why, that's why people confuse it, because that's where the discipline comes in. It's very easy to be disciplined when you know why you're doing what you're doing. And discipline, it doesn't matter. It's not a feeling. You do it whether you want to, whether you feel like it that day, whether whatever. You know that in order to get to where you got to get, you got to do these things. You talk about being an athlete. We didn't enjoy 6 a.m. double session practices, 6 a.m. and then got to come back again later in college. I wasn't motivated to get up at 6 a.m. We got to be on the court at 6 a.m. So that means you got to be up by like 5. So, but the discipline, you had to do it. Otherwise, you can't play, right? So if you want to play and be on the team, guess what? You're going to be at practice at that time. There's no around it. Some people give themselves options. And some people say, well, if it works, this or that, if not, this or that. So they're already entering it with the wrong attitude. I don't come into things like that. I come in to say it's going to work no matter what. Because I'm gonna make it percolate somehow, some way, no matter how long it takes me, especially if I know I'm going in the right direction. And I think you would agree with that too.
Oh yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. That's just the way I am. I'm gonna make it happen some kind of way, you know. And again, even if I don't succeed initially, you know, my spirit won't rest until number one, I conquer it. Number two, I understand that everything that's keeping me from succeeding is outside of my control. I might want to go run 5 miles, but if it's snowing, I can't do that 5 miles. Or if I do it, I got to do it 3 times. It's going to take me 3 times as long to get it done. So I'm with you on that, you know. So an example is this. If we watch a fitness video, right? And we get hyped, man, because, you know, all them bodies and stomach muscles and those abs and muscles, and it excites us and it motivates us. So you tell yourself, I'm going to the gym tomorrow because now I'm motivated to go to the gym. But then when tomorrow comes, after you done slept, that hype ain't there no more. So that's the difference. Discipline is quite different. Discipline is the action of doing something, not thinking about doing something or wanting to do something, but discipline is the act of doing something even when you don't feel like doing it. That's the key. Even when you don't feel like doing it. Now you could talk about that, key, because I know, you know, as a musician and as a
man, listen, we look, I'm with you. We used to look, I was in the band, right? I started playing instruments in like fourth grade, all the way up through. I was in all the band, marching band, jazz band, concert band. I've been a musician my whole life too, in that sense, right? Look, band camp started in July. And July is the heat of the summer. You got to be at band camp 5 days a week. You know what I'm saying? You out there marching, and we ain't even using the instruments yet because you're just learning the formations and things like that. You know how it is, right?
Oh yeah.
Man, your only reason you're out there is because you disciplined, because you want to be part of the band. Because otherwise, why the hell we going to be out there in July in 95, 98 degrees? And I think that's what people, don't understand. And that's why some people in life are wishy-washy. They never commit to anything. Right. Discipline can only come after you commit. You can't be disciplined if you're not committed. And that's also different, right? You got to commit and say, okay, this is what I want to do. When I got into the commodity space, I had to commit to the fact that I was ready to take a lot of pain. You understand what I'm saying? Once I understood. So, if you don't want to take that pain, you got to get out. You got to get out. And that's what I told somebody the other day. So once you commit, don't complain about how painful it is. You can't even focus on that. Now you got to focus on, if somebody else did it, I can do it. So now I got to figure out my angle, whatever that may be. I just think, like I said, discipline is commitment first. If you don't commit, you won't even be disciplined, because you don't know why you need to be disciplined if you're not committed to something anyway.
Absolutely. And the thing with pain, we're not talking about excruciating pain. We're talking about having different levels of being uncomfortable. Now, everybody needs to understand there are going to be times in your life, nobody can escape it, where you're uncomfortable. I mean, that's just life. But what changes that for me is my approach and my attitude toward it. I don't care how uncomfortable I am, there's always something good I can find in that moment or in that particular situation. There's always something good. I don't care if it's raining, cats and dogs, and I'm muddy and I'm wet, all of this. I can find a reason that I can be happy, because there are probably some people who wish they could stand in the rain during that moment. That's just one small instance. But the main thing is what I said, the difference between discipline is quite different, because it's the act of actually doing something, even if you don't feel like doing it. It is consistent and is built through habits. Discipline is built through habits. Being repetitive, doing something over and over and over again. That's a discipline in itself. It does not depend on how you feel or your feelings, unlike motivation. Your motivation depends on how you feel at the moment. And what motivates you is going to come as an external source to fuel your activity. When you're disciplined, it's an internal talent. It's a trait that you have to cultivate, because it's consistent. That's a frame of mind. That's a way you think. Let me take you back to my military days. When you're talking about a sniper or a ranger or special forces, it takes a lot of discipline to join those clubs. And most people who are ranger qualified or sniper or special forces or any of those things, they are very well disciplined individuals.
God bless y'all, military. Thank you for your service. You, Mr. G, and any other veterans on here, we appreciate you. If it wasn't for y'all, we would not be able to do what we do, even in the way we doing it right now. So when you start talking that military stuff, man, that's next level. That's like truly putting your life on the line. That's next level. So yeah, you gotta be disciplined.
We certainly appreciate it, because most people don't understand how difficult that service is. But anyway, so you have to understand that being motivated, wanting to do something. Being disciplined is actually doing something. So I gave the example of when we watch one of those videos and we get motivated. We see a fitness video and we get motivated and we tell ourselves over and over again, we're going to the gym tomorrow. When tomorrow comes, we don't go to the gym. When we talk about discipline, the example is even if you don't feel like going to the gym, even if you're tired, you go anyway because you promise yourself you will go. That's part of the disciplinary process. You make a commitment, as you were talking about earlier, Keith, you make a commitment to yourself first. And once you make that commitment to yourself, and that's what's a lot of people fail to understand, and is the reason a lot of people are not successful. They don't want to make that commitment. You have to make the commitment, win, lose, or draw. If you can make the commitment, you are far ahead of most people, because most people don't want to go through the pain of committing themselves. And number one, they don't like letting people down. Number two, it has a fear factor involved as well. So a lot of people don't like commitment. What do they say about women in marriage? They say men don't.
It's a fear factor on both sides of what you're saying on commitment. On the one side, you have some people who are scared to commit or because they're lazy and they know it's going to make them uncomfortable. You have other people who are scared to commit because they have the fear of success. Because now if you start succeeding, there's an expectation. It's real easy to fly under the radar. Once you start succeeding, there's an expectation now. And you might have to step up and lead because there's some other people that you might have to lead or bring along. So some people, they're fearful they're scared to try. There's others that are fearful because they're like, well, what if I do succeed? That means I got to do this and it's going to be more responsibility. And a lot of people are scared of responsibility, which is why most people can't be leaders, because you now it's not about you. It's about you serving other people, which means it's not going to be convenient. There's going to be time that you might have to give up to give to these people. And a lot of people don't want to do that. They're selfish. And the ones that are called, many are called, few are chosen. The called ones understand that they have to be the best them because they're leading other people. So if they're not staying cutting edge and staying ahead of the people, right? You know this, you got business, all that. The speed of the group and organization is always determined by the speed of the leader. So you always got to stay ahead of your people. So, man, I love this topic, man.
Hey, you made a very good point, Keith. You're right. People can be afraid and fearful of success. And that's so true. I've met people who I thought were ideal leaders, and you pull them to the side, you say, hey, look, I'm going to be giving up this position. I know this position is going to become open, and I think you'd be ideal for it. Some people like, nah, son, I want to stay right where I am. I'm happy. So they have different motivations and they lack the discipline in a lot of cases. And I believe, as you just indicated, a lot of times people just don't want that added responsibility. So it happens throughout our lives. So we just have to, it is what it is, like they say. Yeah. But
And they should take it as a blessing. See, that's the thing I'm saying. If you've been blessed with the opportunity to take on more responsibility, obviously the Supreme Architect believes you can handle it. That's why you're getting the opportunity. So if you really, really are living the life with an attitude of gratitude, all the different things that we talking about, sowing and reaping, sowing the right energy, sowing the right seeds, all that, you should be happy to take on more responsibility because that now means that you can grow more. So yeah, and then there's other people who pray for an opportunity to get the same responsibility, but they just may not have been given the opportunity, or they're not in the right network yet.
Right.
You know, so it's a whole bunch of stuff
Hey,
basically.
hey, look, man. And I know you feel the same way. I just can't understand that myself. I can't understand if someone's given a position or an opportunity to become a better version of themselves, why wouldn't they accept it? I can't.
Yeah, I can't
fathom that, man.
Me either.
Understand? I don't care how fearful I am. I'll get over the fear. I'll find a way to get over the fear. But as you said, there are people who are waiting for an opportunity and never get it. And you have the opportunity to do something and you don't want the opportunity. That's just crazy to me.
That's crazy. And there's tons of people that you know and I know that that's their situation. There's talented people on the wayside right now. There's people who are geniuses just scared to try. And it's a shame. You know, it's just, I've always looked at myself and continue to do. I'm an example. I know there are people who look at me from afar, some close up, and they're inspired, not by like, I'm talking spiritual. Like when you know what you want to do and you know your purpose and you're focused on it, it inspires true people who are trying to figure it out for themselves. And they actually look to you. They don't tell you that, but they look to you for strength. And that's why it's more important for you to stay consistent, because your inconsistency can ruin somebody else. Once you really get rolling, people don't understand that either. Your inconsistency or your lack of can ruin. That's why you shouldn't even get into the mix if you're going to do it, because now you're talking there's lives at stake now based on some of these things we're saying.
Hey, another great point, man. And like I said, I can't understand it. I can't fathom why somebody would capture that moment and take the opportunity. But we know that there are people who are not cut from the same cloth. They're a little different. And everybody has the right to be any way they want to be. We're just merely stating our opinions and how we feel about this particular subject.
Well, and if you took some of the most successful people out there right now, they're all different personalities, different genders, male and female, different cultures, different backgrounds. Some are educated, some aren't. So the discipline that we're talking about, it has nothing to do with anything other than you making a choice, because that's a spiritual thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, we're not saying you should be or shouldn't be or whatever. Be who you are. People, you can succeed no matter who you are, but you still got to make the choice and the commitment to yourself. That's the thing.
Yeah. And look, another important part about personal growth is it does not matter what your circumstances are. See,
Right.
a lot of people like to use excuses as to why I can't do something. So everybody wants it on a silver platter. So the only question you have to ask yourself, if you're one of those individuals, you have to ask yourself, how does any one person who comes from the same disadvantaged set of circumstances, how does one succeed and the other fail? Same environment, right? So if you're sincere, so if you're really sincere and you're really about that business, then you have to be the one to negate your circumstances, negate all your excuses, and go for whatever it is. As Keith just eloquently put it, you can succeed. Everybody can succeed. But there's a reason that one person is successful and the other person failed. And me, personally and spiritually, I believe it all has to do with their thinking, the way that they see themselves. You have to know your worth and you have to know your value. Once you understand what your value is, that tells the rest of the world they can assign it to you. Once you know it, because trust and believe, if you don't know your own value, when you get out in the world, they will place a value on you. They will tell you what your worth is, and you will respond accordingly because you don't know any difference. But in personal growth, we know who we are. We know what we want. We know what our value is. We know what our worth is. And once you come equipped with all those different qualities, it's very difficult for someone to infiltrate that coat of armor, and give you and define what you're worth and who you are. So we need to stop using these excuses saying, hey, my circumstance, hey, the reason he made it is because he already had $100,000. Or the reason he made it is because he had a car. Or the reason she made it is because, look, she's already pretty. All those are external excuses that are used because you don't have the courage to step up and be the best version of yourself. All right? Now, knowing your worth is very simple. It's just that you have a strong confidence and understanding of who you are and what you are capable of. That's what knowing your worth is, knowing who you are, having a strong confidence level, and you understand what you're capable of. Those are the people who are successful. Those are the people who go to the front of the line. Those are the ones who get selected because they have that confidence. Now, there's a difference between being arrogant and being confident. We're talking about being confident. Someone who is arrogant is just no different than a coward. We're not talking about those people. All right? We're talking about the people who have a high level of confidence. And there's nothing wrong with that. I've been a confident individual all my life.
Me too.
You know?
Yeah, having a low self-image has never been my problem from down when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, no, I never, I'm with you on that. I mean, that's just, you got to have confidence in yourself. And if you don't, that's the other thing that's going to cause you to not succeed. Because if you don't believe in yourself, why does somebody else? You want somebody else to believe in you. You got to believe in yourself first. Because otherwise, they'll be able to see that you don't believe in yourself through your energy and through your actions. Like, you got to believe in yourself.
How crazy is it for you to expect someone else to believe in you and you don't believe in yourself?
It's crazy.
That's the craziest thing. Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine going to somebody and I'm not prepared. I don't have a high level of confidence. I'm timid. I can't imagine myself going into a situation with those type of characteristics. That don't mean everywhere I go I'm gonna win, but I guarantee you I'm not gonna walk out with my tail stuck between my legs or feel that I'm less than. You know, it just wasn't for me. But I'm not gonna say that if I'm not prepared and if I don't have that confidence. I'm not going to say none of those things. If I'm not prepared, then I need to walk out that room with my tail between my leg and my head covered and, cowered in a corner somewhere because I didn't prepare. So you have to make sure you do all those things that are necessary that garnishes your success. Another big thing is in personal growth, we have to set boundaries. Now, I don't know how to tell you how important that is. I don't know how to express how important that is to you. You have to set boundaries. And I'm saying that because a lot of people don't know how to set boundaries. Now, especially if you're one of those people, I've met some very charming, very eloquent very nice people in my life, and they're givers and they love helping others. But I guarantee you, if no boundaries are set by you, others will set them for you. If you don't set your own boundaries, other people will surely set them for you. And in some cases, some of the people you're going to meet in life, they will have no limits. They will keep taking and taking and taking as long as you keep giving and giving and giving. So you have to set boundaries if you're going to grow in a personal way. If you don't have boundaries, that's detrimental to your personal growth. You're not going to grow if you don't have any boundaries. You need confidence and you need charisma. Confidence and charisma, the two C's. You need those two things.
Yeah.
You have to put yourself first when it comes to personal growth. You have to put yourself first. That's the first law of nature and the rule that I live by. If I can't help myself, I surely can't help anybody else. So the first law of nature is self-preservation. That's not a selfish act. If I preserve myself and take care of myself, then I can almost be certain that sooner or later I'm going to be able to help somebody else. And that's the goal for all of us in this lifetime, to get into a position. If you don't believe it, then look at all the things that you can accomplish in your life. And once you accomplish those things, then figure out what comes next. Once you mounted everything you're going to mount, got all the money you can get, bought all the houses, all the cars, all the jewelry, been with all the women, all the men, what comes next? And it's an intuitive thing that's built inside of all of us, that we are here to help each other. So you have to put yourself first. No one can teach you that. No one can teach you how to put yourself first. You have to discover that on your own. And you do that through self-awareness and evolution. So personal growth is part of that cycle of evolution, where you really have to be self-aware and understand your position and your importance in this life. Now, here's the thing that's going to rub some people the wrong way. But we give it to you raw because we do our research, we understand, we've got a wealth of experience and been to many countries, cultures, situations in our lives. So this part here, there has to be a healthy balance between your purpose and pleasure. There has to be a healthy balance between your purpose and pleasure. Most of us can get the pleasure part easily. We can, oh yeah, anything that feels good, make us feel good, make us look good, and make us seem good to other people. We can easily do that because it's instant. Pleasure is instant. And it feels good. But purpose is what will matter in the long run. Not pleasure. Purpose is what will matter in the long run. Of course, pleasure makes us feel good in the moment, but it fades. There's nobody on this planet that can say that they have a continuous pleasure or sensitivity that never goes away. Pleasure is always temporary. So I'm giving this lesson so that we can put people, so people can put pleasure versus purpose in the right perspective. And you may have not have thought about the way that I'm explaining it right now, but you should. Pleasure is always temporary. There's nothing that you can say and convince anybody of that you've done that was pleasurable that lasted from day one up until now. Nothing. It fades. It's as simple as that. It has a shelf life. I don't care if you're eating something sweet, sexing up that old girl, polishing up your car, buying the biggest mansion, whatever it is temporary. And guess what? Pleasure requires little or no effort and no discipline. You don't have to have discipline for pleasure. And people are like, oh, Mr. G, yes you do. No, you don't. You don't have to have any discipline for the act of receiving something that's pleasurable. You just take it. It feels good. You're going to take it. You're going to do it. But the key is that it is temporary. On the other hand, your purpose is long-term. So when we understand personal growth, we understand that there has to be a balance between the pleasure and our purpose. And we have to understand the definition and the characteristics of each one. Pleasure, short-term, immediate gratification, feels good. Purpose is long-term and adds meaning to our life. That's what purpose is. Now, Keith, you got anything you want to add?
I'll just say this. When you're focused on your goals and your purpose, pleasure is not something you're seeking. It actually becomes something that you almost have to take time for because you're so focused on your purpose and achieving your goal that you look up and you say, man, I haven't been out or I haven't done this. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the discipline. You'd rather work on your goal or your purpose than have pleasure, because that pleasure now, I think, in blocks of time. So I'm like, all right, well, if I go over here for 4 hours, that's a long time. 4 hours. That, like, man, I might be able to knock this out doing this over here. And I'm not saying you shouldn't take pleasure, but I think that when you become more goal oriented and focused, pleasure is not your main focus, because you realize that if you're achieving certain levels, that as you climb up, there's going to be pleasure that comes along the way when you celebrate the actual achievement of what it is that you're trying to do. So you're willing to do like that delayed gratification, as we call it. You know what I'm saying? I'll put off getting this. You know what I'm saying? I'll put off doing this or doing that, because you know, once you achieve what you're achieving, you're going to do all that plus then some. And a lot of people are not willing to make those type of sacrifices. They want to have it now. I'm not saying don't go buy a new car now or buy a new watch now, but if you could tie it to a goal, right, where I achieve this and then I'm going to go get this and then I'm going to go do that, man. And then you can deny yourself that until you actually do achieve what you're trying to achieve. Now we talking.
Oh, yeah. And it assists your purpose. A lot of times when we take get the right understanding about what pleasure and purpose is, that we know, if we understand that the pleasure is only going to be temporary, in the grand scheme of things, if we look at it that way, then we know that the pleasure is going to be more abundantly given to us once we achieve that purpose, as you said, Keith. And that is continuous evolution as well, realizing your purpose. But the point that I want to make is that we can't get distracted and always look for the pleasurable things first.
Right.
And not understand that it's only going to last you a moment. It's only going to last you a while. You buy
Yeah.
that, you save up all your money. You buy that $2.5 million home. You're going to be excited. But sooner or later, you ain't going to care nothing about that. You're going to love living in the house, but it ain't going to be pleasurable like it was when you initially bought it. So again, that instant gratification and that pleasure is only temporary.
Yep.
So purpose is long time. It does not always feel good in the moment. Purpose is long term and it does not always feel good in the moment. It requires discipline. Pleasure don't require no discipline. It also requires focus and sometimes discomfort. Now, let's not go to the extreme. A lot of people, when you start using negative emotional words and whatnot, they go to the extreme. We're not talking about excruciating pain. We're not talking about long-term discomfort. We're talking about temporary. And sometimes we have to understand that what comes with success is always a certain level of discomfort. Even if there's no physical, the act of doing something new is always uncomfortable because we're not familiar with it. So let's not get it twisted and start thinking, oh no, this is too much or it's going to be too painful. No, even if the act of doing something that we've never done before or never attempted before is going to be a little uncomfortable because we don't know what the outcome is going to be. So our expectations are kind of muddy at the time. We don't know. We might have something that we expect to gain from it, but we cannot predict the outcome. All right? So, we have to be focused. We have to be disciplined for our purpose, and sometimes uncomfortable. But the reward of that is the greatest of them all. The reward of that builds us into who we are meant to be. That's what that purpose thing does. It builds that character. It builds us into that individual we're supposed to become. It builds us into a better version of ourselves than we were yesterday. So it's always one of those welcoming things in my life where I know that I'm growing and I know it's shaping me to be the best version of myself. Personal growth is a lifelong process of becoming a better version of yourself. It's a lifelong process. We never get to a point where we aren't learning where we know everything. It's impossible. That means that we're improving our mindset, the way we think, remember, our habits, which is what we do on a daily basis, our self-awareness, and our emotional control, which is how we respond to life itself. All right. Well, I tried to get Miss O'Neill back in here, so I don't know. I sent her an invite several times, but I think she might be having some technical difficulties. But we enjoyed it like we always do. So let me conclude it real quick. Personal growth is choosing behaviors that support your future, not just your feelings in the moment. Personal growth,
good point,
is choosing behaviors that support your future, not just your feelings in the moment. That's what personal growth is. If we truly want to become a better version of ourselves, in addition to all the things that we discuss here tonight, we must change the way we think first and the way we feel about ourselves. I've met so many people, and because I'm not that type of individual who are really down on themselves or they feel that they failed. And, I talk and I try to, because everybody has some worth. I don't care what kind of situation you come, that you were involved with. And I know some people, they're involved in some very toxic situations where if you receive certain types of treatments and you hear certain types of things, you start to believe it. I get it all. I understand. So we have to make sure when we're talking about our personal growth, those individuals that we care about and we love, when we see that twinkle in their eye, like they really are kind of shy and bashful and they don't want to address it, we got to pull that information out. We got to let them know that it's going to be okay. We got to let them know that, hey, you are worth something and your value is more than you know. So we have to get to that point where we assist those type of individuals, because we're all in this together in the end. If everybody is sick, I'm going to have to pay for them if I'm healthy. If everybody is broke, sooner or later, I'm going to have to share my food, whether or not I want to or not. So we're all in it together. All right. So that's the way we have to look at it. And when we do that, when we change the way we think first, and we change the way that we feel about ourselves, the next thing that we have to do, and this is critical, and this is important, we have to force others to accept who we are and who we are destined to become. We have to force others to accept who we are. I'm not going back to the old me. I'm not the person that you once knew. This is where I am. This is my destiny. This is my evolution. This is my personal growth as a human, as an individual, and nothing can change that. So you have to force people to accept it. And if they don't accept it, then what does that tell you? Get from around that individual. They're not your person. They're not your people. They should not be included in your circle. Find you some more people. All right? Okay, well, we certainly appreciate it. All of you who came tonight, and I'm so happy to see so many of you. I apologize we couldn't get Miss O'Neill back in here because she keeps us going and she's a piece of work. So she adds that dynamic that we need. But we certainly appreciate all of you. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back here on TikTok again next Wednesday, same time, same place. So until then, au revoir, au revoir, I'll be the same. Goodbye, and we'll see you all next week. Take care.
Peace.
Hey, Keith, we'll talk.
All right, yes, sir.